You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 179 of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Hewart, and as always, I am with my psychotic friend, Jeff Burgess. How are you doing, Jeff?
I mean, I'm not like arguing necessarily, but why psychotic?
Well, because of what we're sharing with our podcast listeners in just a few seconds that we agreed we're going to talk about. I live in a world where Jeff is psycho and I have to try and manage him to the best of my ability, friends. And I didn't do well today with that, but I'm going to do better tomorrow.
You did really poorly with that today.
I did so poorly.
Yeah, it didn't go as it was supposed to go.
I don't know what happened. You caught me at this really bad point in my day, and I just was going to say yes to anything you proposed. And it was so foolish of me. I will be better tomorrow. Better today and better tomorrow.
But unfortunately, it's too late, and this is happening apparently.
It's not only happening, but we are committed to it because we're going to talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah, so it's talking about right now, and this is so this episode comes out on the 8th, and this thing is happening on the 10th, so on Wednesday, June 10th. And essentially what's going to happen is I'm going to go live on Facebook, on our Facebook page, in our Facebook group, on Twitter, on our YouTube channel, and on Twitch for 12 hours.
Yes, and when you say you mean the entire team is going to make an appearance and enjoy the fun of just celebrating education for 12 hours.
I'm committed to going for 12 hours, but I'm going to bring everyone in because, let's face it, I'm going to have to take a restroom break. So, someone's going to take over from time to time. But it's going to be fun because throughout the entire 12 hours, we're going to have special guests popping in all day. The team's going to be popping in at different times. There may or may not be special exclusive announcements coming from the team during that time. We have special guests that are outside the team, maybe some of our speakers network, maybe people that haven't been in anything we're doing for a long time. We got some ideas. We're working with some people. And then throughout the whole day too, right, we're going to be doing giveaways. We're going to have some really cool Teach Better giveaways, and some of our special guests are going to have special giveaways that we already got going too. So it's going to be just a lot of fun.
It's going to be a blast.
It's going to be long. It's going to be long. I'm really interested to see how it goes. I'm really interested to see if anyone will join us from moment one till the very end and stick with us the entire time.
Well, okay, let's confirm this. So we're going to go live for 12 hours.
Yeah.
I'm going to start encouraging our friends. If you're listening to this when it comes out on June 8th, you should probably just start drinking coffee now because it's going to be all high energy on June 10th, and we are going to have so much fun. I want to make sure you stretch beforehand. And Jeff, I think that you might lose your mind by the end of it, so don't worry. I will join you for some of it.
So here's the thing, though. I'm not promising high energy. In hour 10, I may be a little tired at that point. I may be like,
how dare you even pretend that we're not going to have high energy?
That's why I can bring other people in to bring it. Everybody's going to have to every time I bring someone else on, we're going to get re-energized. So,
remember that one time our dear friend Dave Schmittou said he was going to run a marathon. And then he was like, rather than running a marathon, I'm going to run a mile for everybody who agrees to also run a mile. So instead of running 26 miles like a normal marathon, he ran 33 miles because he had a dumb idea. This is a perfect example of Jeff Burgess having a dumb idea. And we are so excited to celebrate in your stupidity.
Hashtag Schmittou fan. All right. Hashtag Schmittou fan. I'm taking that. That's or maybe we'll do hashtag Schmittou model. That's the Schmittou model. You just do dumb ideas.
I can't wait.
It's going to be fun.
It will be fun. It will be fun. And you're doing it for a good reason. Your message this morning when we originally cooped up this idea was, you can tell me I'm crazy, but I think we should go live for 12 hours. It'll be so much fun to interact with our network. We could do X, Y, and Z. I'm not sharing any of those secrets right now on this podcast, but we have a lot planned. And my answer was, haha, okay.
I'm like, talk me out of this. You said, haha, when? And I'm like, oh, crap.
And then, wait, let's confirm. So I said, when? Let's talk about, let's figure out the details, Jeff. And he's like, how's June 10th? I don't have anything on my calendar. I was like, okay, that seems a little far away from right now, but sure, let's do it. And later I find out you legitimately want to do it on June 10th. So that became the day. Whatever.
You were thinking it's far away because you thought, well, that's like, why are we waiting 2 weeks to plan this thing? I'm like, no, we're gonna do it that day. Here's my thought behind that is that, like, why wait, Ray? But here's the thing, like a lot of people are either finished right now and already into summer vacation, or are going to be in the next like week and a half. So I think June 10th, everyone's gonna be on, done with whatever school looks like right now. And it's gonna be like, let's kick off summer.
Nope.
With 12 hours straight.
This is why you're wrong, Jeff, because the week of June 10th, we have a free teacher webinar going on Monday. We have a grid method webinar going on Tuesday. We're going to be live all day for 12 hours Wednesday. Then we have a grid webinar Q&A on Thursday, and we have a free teacher webinar on Friday. That's why June 10th.
You forgot one. Actually, on Tuesday, we also have our weekly mastermind.
Our administrator mastermind. So
I'm basically just on camera all week, like at some point, or like in some sort of stream at all. And that's all live stuff too. That's the crazy part.
It's going to be amazing. And then it'll be great because some people actually signed up for the free teacher webinar and the grid method training, and they're part of the administrator mastermind, and they're going to join us for this live. So we're going to have quite the close-knit family after this.
Here's the thing. If you've been on the webinar series, I sort of act as the host in most of those. If you've been on our mastermind, I get to kind of moderate that. If I'll be doing the same for the grid method ones, I get to co-host with you on this. I look, if anybody knows me, like I love being like I love to host the party. Like,
Jeff.
I don't need to be the center of attention. I don't need to be the entertainment of the party, but I love to be the host. I love bringing people together. So I get to do that for 12 hours of bringing in awesome people. Like I'm telling you right now, like I want you on that with me, with your dogs on a walk. Like there is no keeping Alfred down. He's allowed to jump up for this. Like it's full on. Let's get into Ray's world. We're gonna have a good time. So
I will spill all
dogs are welcome. All dogs are welcome. Cats too. Cats are welcome. It's gonna be my cat might make an appearance. He's been under the weather, but he should be healthy by then. So it's gonna be exciting. So June 10th. If you're listening to this after June 10th, I'm sorry, but you'll have to go back and watch it on YouTube. But it will be there. So and if you are on Twitch, if you do anything on Twitch, make sure you watch on there because like we're just kind of testing the waters with Twitch right now. So this is gonna be a fun one there. But anyway.
I hope you guys join us. It really will be fun, even though Jeff's psychotic. So I'm super excited.
I officially now cannot get out of it. So that's awesome.
No, we said on the podcast it's official. Yeah,
it's official here. It's law. All right, let's talk about this episode and get into it because this was a fun one. You had told me a lot about Traci in the sense of what you really told me was she's awesome. And that's all I need to know. You're like, she's awesome. She's coming on the podcast. Like, trust me. And I'm like, whatever. And she was. This was an awesome episode. So Traci Browder is 17 years experience. She's taught third grade. She's been a reading specialist. She's been an instructional coach, and she's currently a kindergarten teacher. I love her story of how she kind of got there. She's got a blog that she puts out a whole bunch of content on at tracibrowder.com. She's the curator and operator of Teacher Relief, which is a digital storehouse on YouTube for crisis and natural disaster learning and teaching. She is an author at SchoolRubric, and she is the host of the brand new, newly launched, relaunched podcast, Intelligogy, the podcast, which is literally daily. I mean, which how impressive is that? Like, it's super cool. I totally just smacked my camera, just so you know. So like, let me watch, and I apologize. I just bounced. I don't know what I'm doing over here, and I'm gonna go live for 12 hours. This is gonna be a nightmare. Anyway, she was so much fun to talk to, Traci. She's just like, I think I actually say it that the passion just boils through the speakers. Like, you were gonna get jazzed up listening to this woman, this educator, talk about just how much she loves what she does and what she gets to do. So I'm super pumped. Anything you want to add, Ray? I know you're a huge Traci fan.
I am a huge Traci fan, and I know we say it 1,500 times during the episode, but truly, even if it means you have to pause this right now, please go subscribe to the work she's doing. We get to do a Tuesday Teach Better Takeover every week with her, and we just have so much fun talking shop. So please make sure you connect with her. She's fabulous.
I love it. With that, let's get into episode 179 with Traci Browder. All right, we are here. We are chatting with Traci Browder. And Traci, so excited to have you on the show and to talk to you, learn more about your background. We've been getting kind of connected, the whole Teach Better team and you and your upcoming podcast, which we're going to talk about, which is actually already out as I'm recording this. So I'm already confusing everybody, but that's not the point. The point is that we're super excited to have you on Teach Better Talk. Can't wait to kind of dive into your story and learn more about everything you have going on. But before we get too far in, how are you feeling right now?
I'm good. We are first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity, but we are approaching our final week of school and just, there's a lot of emotions with that, right? But overall I'm doing well.
Traci, I was so excited that we finally got you on Teach Better Talk podcast because I've had the pleasure of being involved kind of on the back end as you've started to build up all the pieces of your amazing podcast that just launched. So I can't wait to talk more about that. Before we get into kind of all those pieces, as well as I'm sure the incredible stories you're going to share, would you mind just kind of telling our listeners a little bit about what you do?
Absolutely. So, I've been a teacher for 17 years, and I started out teaching third grade, loved third grade. But then I realized I also have a passion for inspiring educators. So that led me to the reading specialist role, and then that grew into an instructional coach. But then I wanted to be closer to home, and someone had just taken that position. So the only thing that was available was kindergarten, but it has turned out to be the best thing in the whole wide world. So currently, I am a kindergarten teacher, but mentoring several different teachers. My classroom is like a live learning lab. We have teachers and administrators from our district and other districts that come into my classroom. It's kind of this controlled, structured freedom, project-based learning, inquiry-based learning. I think people are really amazed that, these young little people can do all these big things, but that just goes to the core of my beliefs is that, if you believe they can, they will. So, educator at heart. And did you want me to keep going or wait? I didn't want to go
Well,
too far.
I'm going to have you keep going because I want you to kind of take into if I don't know if you were going to go this way, but I'd like to have you keep going into the podcast too.
Okay.
Because that's something that's it's coming out while we're talking. It's coming out in about a week. But as this episode is airing, it was out last week, so it's kind of a excitement right now. But as you're hearing this, you can go listen right away because it's already out. So, can you tell us about the podcast? Sort of how what you do in your role, like how that led to creating a podcast and what we can expect?
Absolutely. So I realized at the beginning of my teaching career that I just had this burning passion, not only to teach students, but to really help teachers find their passion and their spark, and just even some of the veterans to help them fall in love with teaching all over again. So that became a really, really big passion. And I knew I wanted to amplify my voice and help others. So through the years, it became this mentoring role and that whole live learning classroom. But then I began to be asked to speak at our district conferences and things like that. And so I realized I can share and inspire if more of us get more educators, really to just have that spark and that passion, which so many of us bring to the table already, but so many of us need just that support to really, really have them tap into the core. And in doing that, it kind of led me to figure out, how can I do this on a larger scale? How can I reach more educators for kids? And that's where the idea of the podcast came in. It initially kind of started as my blog, and I still have my blog. But then the podcast kind of evolved actually from a Twitter PLN chat. Someone referenced their podcast, and I started asking questions and said, I've been so on fire and curious and interested in it, trying to figure out how to start a podcast. And she connected me to the amazing Stephen Hurley of Voice Ed Canada. And he literally held my hand and got my podcast going. He has been such a talk about mentoring. He is mentoring me and supporting me in unbelievable ways. So that's really the birth of the podcast. But, just like everything else, when we start out, you kind of sometimes don't have the full vision. You can't see all of the trees because of the forest. And It was wonderful. I really enjoyed just kind of sharing my heart, and the feedback was amazing. I mean, listeners were asking me to transcribe because they could take some of that information and they felt empowered to be better. And so that was the beauty of it. But then I realized after I got more comfortable with it, I just felt like, just like in our classrooms, when we're teaching and you really get into that power zone, you realize, wow, I can do this even better. And so that was the epiphany I had, and it came at a perfect time, right when Ray and I connected. And so we spent some time talking. She actually said, if you have any questions, I want to support you. And again, that's the beauty of education. In just these short minutes, I've given two examples of people saying, if you want help, if you want me to support you, I can help you. And so I jumped on Ray's offer, and we spent about an hour, if not longer, just really talking. And she gave me so much to think about. So actually, our brainstorming session was the catalyst for the transformation as we're looking at it. She helped me with the structure and kind of helped mold my vision. So I am so grateful and so thankful to Ray for that. So the podcast, Intelligogy, the podcast, listeners will know when to listen, they know what to expect. And Monday is going to be Monday meeting, where we're discussing policy, high achievement, standardized testing, and student performance. Teach Better Tuesday is, of course, the wonderful Teach Better team. So Teach Better owns Tuesdays. I love saying that.
Sounds good.
So we get to talk about mentoring, goal setting, curriculum, building rich relationships with students, valuing the whole student, the emotional, the home, the mental, the peer relationships. We're covering it all. And so Wednesdays, oh my goodness, I can't believe it's so much fun saying Wednesdays. The Wednesday theme is Woke Wednesday, and that's going to be the cutting edge, the really pushing the envelope conversations. And then Thursday Thoughts is just me and the listeners engaging in conversation. And then Friday Fundamentals, that's that mental health and well-being piece. And Saturdays is Saturday mornings in the Situation Room with Stephen Hurley. So it's a week long of content. And Saturdays in the Situation Room with Stephen, we're going to be talking about current topics in education. What are the hot topics? Where do we need to stretch ourselves as educators? So listeners will know every single day of the week what to expect and what to tune into. So I'm really excited. Monday meeting is already, we've recorded several sessions ahead, and I'm super excited. Marlena Gross with Edu Gladiators. We've already had several conversations, had wonderful conversations with the Teach Better team, Kavita Tana. So I'm just super excited. Che and Pav at the Staff Room Podcast, Stephen Hurley, Wallace Ting is coming up with SchoolRubric. So it's been amazing. But more importantly, I am so excited about what listeners will be able to learn, not only learn, but be inspired and just get that cutting edge information to help us all grow as educators.
I love it. And I love it. I mean, you can just feel your passion for this project just beaming through the speakers right now. And that gets me pumped up for this to all come through. I'm super excited for you and super excited to be a part of it and honored. It's really awesome for all that. So I really appreciate you sharing so much of that and the details. And if you're listening right now, it's out. You can go get it right now on your I assume, Tracy, it's gonna be on all your podcast platforms, right? So
Absolutely. All
good.
the major platforms. And I'll be pushing it out on my blog and on my personal Twitter, but Intelligogy has its own Twitter handle and Instagram. So we'll be pushing it out on those platforms as well.
Great. And so we're going to include this in the show notes, but for those who are just listening right now, can you spell out Intelligogy for us?
Sure. Intelligogy is Intelligogy. Think of that heightened intelligence with pedagogy. I just love it.
Love it. I love it. And yes, that was totally for you listeners. That wasn't for me at all. It was just for everyone listening. All right. So let's flip. So one of the things I love you talk about, like the listeners will know what to expect. Well, they always know what to expect for this, because we always ask this question. We talk about failure and challenges and overcoming those challenges. So I wonder if you could share a story with us about a time you've had a failure or a challenge in your life that you had to overcome. Tell us what happened, how did you overcome that, and then what did you take away from that experience?
I think Ray already knows what I'm going to share, because I feel like this is a situation that a lot of educators are going through, and we haven't compartmentalized it in the right box. So I really, really want to share this. Um, I had a little bit of self awareness of a problem that I didn't know I had, and that is, I just shared a minute ago how much I wanted to help and inspire other educators. But I kept putting myself in this box, in this really tiny box that had a lock on it. And what I mean by that is there's been so much hesitancy for me to step out there into this world of educators and really share and help inspire people, because I had this crazy idea, this crazy negative self-talk that I'm just a teacher. I just teach kindergarten. I'm only a teacher. And shame on me for thinking that way. And I was kind of giving Ray the background to this, that, sometimes I would be in these powerful conversations where such robust decisions were being made to impact the whole school district. And a lot of times some people who didn't know me would say, "Okay, so what do you do?" And I found myself saying, "Oh, I'm just a teacher." And no, we are so much more than teachers. We're not just a teacher. We are teachers. And I own that now. I fully embrace it, because we wouldn't have doctors without teachers. We wouldn't have law enforcement. We wouldn't have the military. We wouldn't have people flying planes. We wouldn't have engineers and all this wonderful technology that we're using right now if we didn't have teachers. So I am so proud to be an educator now. And I always have been, but when I had to speak it in the midst of people who were, for lack of a better word, bigger than me, I felt, I don't know, intimidated, or that's how I put myself in a box. And when you put yourself in a box, we're not growing. So I'm so glad that I had that awareness, and how I overcame it was really a lot of self-reflection and asking myself, what's holding me back? Why am I scared? When my loved ones in my own house, my son and my husband, when they're asking me, they know my hopes and dreams, but they didn't see me doing anything. And when they started saying, what is the problem? What is holding you back? I had to start looking at that, and especially my son. I'm like, what am I showing him? If I'm putting myself in a box and I say I have all these hopes and dreams, but I'm not doing anything about it, I'm his role model. So what is he going to do with the rest of his life? And that moment was the moment that the match was struck and I was set on fire and there was no stopping.
Ugh, I love that, Traci. I love, even though I've heard that story before, I think it's so important for us to remind listeners, and you're going to hear that story in the first few episodes of Traci's podcast when you go over and subscribe and rate and review and take a dive into all the content she's pushing out. But it's so important that we remind each other of that. So I love that you're able to share that even just here too. Would you mind kind of telling us, geez, with everything you've done in education and you continue to do, I can only imagine what you're going to do in the next 6 months, much less a year or two. But what's keeping you excited about education right now and all that you're doing?
Oh, goodness. What's keeping me excited right now really is the resiliency of educators and teachers and parents and administrators and students, the resiliency in spite of a global pandemic, celebrating resiliency. And what do we do when we're thrown into a whole new way of learning with no preparation? So that gets me excited, because it's like a football team. Somebody's got to be the coach. Somebody's got to be the one pumping people up so that the kids and so the teammates are saying, "Put me in, coach, put me in, coach." And that's what I want to be. I want to be that cheerleader. I want to be that pump up. So in the darkest of situations, there's got to be somebody that finds the light, the hope, the energy. And I've been telling all of my friends and people in my PLN how do you want to come out on the other side of COVID-19? And and I always pay credence to this, that there are so many people on the front lines. This virus and disease has impacted so many lives, sometimes fatally. But for those of us who are fortunate enough to be healthy and get through this, how do you want to come out on the other side of COVID-19? What do you want to have accomplished? How do you want to have grown? Do you want to just go back to the normal way that you always were? Or do you want to come out empowered and confident and saying how much you've grown and being a role model to those who you've been in shelter in place with? And so that's been my energy, that's been my fire, that's been my spark. And what's happened because of that has literally blown me away.
Ugh, I think that's so important. So that really gets us going with question 5. It always has to do with advice. And I can only imagine that you have some incredible advice to offer educators all over. But if you had to think of just one piece of advice that you would give either a new teacher, or let's be honest, this could be a veteran teacher, somebody who's been in the field forever, it doesn't matter. What advice do teachers really need to take to heart to, really support the progressive students we have in our classrooms?
I think we all need to ask ourselves this one powerful question: what's holding you back? I have asked so many people that question, and they get quiet, and then all of a sudden they start peeling back all of these layers, and they start being so transparent, because sometimes there's trauma, or sometimes somebody's told you you couldn't do something, or you just felt like I did, that I'm just this teacher. So I always ask people, what's holding you back? So that would be my biggest piece of advice for educators, no matter where you are in your journey. Ask yourself, what's holding you back? Even if you're on the end, almost at retirement, what's your next chapter? What else are you going to contribute? Because we need your wisdom. So if you're new to the profession, what are you on fire about? Don't be scared to step out of the box. I actually wrote something about that with in education. We're always so concerned as the new teacher not to rock the boat. And I say, you can think out of the box, you can step out of the box, but you've got to respect the box. And that's the seasoned teachers that are before us. You have to give them that respect, but you don't have to compartmentalize yourself. So that's my biggest thing. If I had it to do all over again, I would have been fearless from day one. And fearless, but also a servant leader, not just going after my own, bringing others along with me. And that's what I'm doing right now. Like, I have this fire. I believe in myself. I believe I can. I believe there are no limitations. And I could tell you story after story of people who I've grabbed their hand and said, come on, what's your dream? Let's do it. What's holding you back? And so that's my big piece of advice, is to ask yourself what's holding you back, and then do something about it. Get a plan of attack and crush those walls.
Wow. I have a piece of advice. Right now, you need to pause this podcast and go connect with Traci, so you are connected with her on social media, so she can take you with her. Because I'm just like, I want to grab. I'm reaching out, my hands out, like, take me with you. I love that is your focus, your passion, because that's, to me, that's true leadership, is not just going, but taking others with you, regardless of what your role is or your title or anything like that. You can be that leader to just take people with you. I love that. That's really cool. And I love the asking you a question of what's holding you back. So then now you know what you have to do to overcome that and be able to move on to wherever your next chapter is and whatever you're trying to get to. Oh, I'm loving it. It's awesome, Traci. So let's continue going. We're going to continue with the awesomeness here. The next 6 questions, what we're going to do is we'll do them a little bit quicker. Your goal is to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. You ready to go?
Okay, let's do it.
All right. What is one EdTech tool you cannot live without?
Google everything.
Google everything. I love it. Give us a book you're reading right now.
Just one?
If you want to give us up to 3, you can.
Okay. 5 Successful Things People Do Before 8 a.m. by Terri Savelle Foy, Teach Like a Pirate, Dave Burgess, and Be Real, Tara Martin.
Good stuff. Who do we need to follow on Twitter or Instagram today? You can give us up to 3.
Today, right now, Education Never Dies, SchoolRubric, and that's Rubric, RUBRIC, and me. No, I'm just kidding. Voice Ed Radio, amazing platform.
And of course, following you is a given, so that was good. Good. Give us a good YouTube channel or website for educators to check out.
Oh, well, I certainly hope you're checking out Teach Better. I mean, that would be a given, right? You got to check out Teach Better. I think one of the other really, really good ones is, I like looking at the TEDx talks and just really not just for educators. Oh, 15 seconds. I'm sorry. Yeah, TEDx talks.
Almost no one does it. You're cool. Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
Ooh, rest, read, recharge, quiet time, hustle, work hard, give back.
Mm.
Man.
And finally, wrap it up, the best piece of advice you've ever received.
Whew. Bring others along with you.
Boom.
Boom is right.
Seriously, Traci, I told Jeff you were going to kill
She did.
this recording, and still, I think he was skeptical, but oh man, have you showed up. I love it. So good. I want to make sure our listeners can stay connected to you, not only to you on all your social media handles, but also by listening to the podcast. I mean, geez, you're putting out 6 episodes a week. That is incredible opportunities we now have to learn from one another. So would you mind kind of sharing how our listeners can stay connected?
So absolutely, super duper active on Twitter. Guys, if you're not on Twitter, hop on, connect with an amazing PLN. So Twitter, I'm Traci Browder. IntelliGoji also has a Twitter handle. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook as Traci Browder. And you can also find me on SchoolRubric on the website. I am a resident author, so I publish pieces regularly on SchoolRubric. And then, of course, the podcast itself is housed on Voice Ed and all major platforms, Apple, Google Play, Spotify, however you want to access it, it's there. Oh, and Operation Teacher Relief. I didn't mention that. It's a YouTube channel that I created. It's a digital learning storehouse for crisis and natural disaster. And it just has amazing resources. And the playlist tab is amazing. So there's something for every single grade level, every content area. And then the channel section, it's like PD heaven. I've compiled such a smorgasbord of channels from TEDx to Edutopia, Dave Burgess, just so many channels. It's just a door, a gateway to learning right at your fingertips, but all in Operation Teacher Relief on YouTube.
Loving it. And you can find all the links and the resources and everything we mentioned in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as the really important links for connecting with Traci, checking out the podcast, keeping the conversation going. So make sure you check out the show notes over at teachbetter.com for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and review, we'd really, really appreciate that. Let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and connect with these amazing educators, and share this podcast with them. Traci, this was awesome. I'm so happy that we had you on. I'm so pumped up for everything you have going on for the podcast and just everything that you're doing to take people along with you. I love it. Really appreciate you coming and spending some time with us and sharing your story with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I was so happy to be here. And one big shout out to DBC, who was an active participant in a raffle for the relaunch of the podcast. And 3 lucky winners have gotten his Teach Like a Pirate book and accompanying journal, and both are signed copies. So awesome.
Awesome. Well, we definitely love our DBC family. So shout out to DBC for sure. Appreciate that. And until next time, let's get out there and let's teach better.